Hello, my friends. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. And shh, our Australians are sleeping. So we'll probably see a few Australians jump in here. So thank you, everybody, for jumping in. I know this was a bit of a long intro, but I want to make sure I give you guys time to get your tea, get your coffee, get settled, get comfortable. Most of all, get your questions ready because we are going to be talking about King Charles. So if you didn't see the production video that I did, the premiere that was just on, there was only a few people in there. So I guess we're getting used to the new schedule that I have. I graded my predictions for King Charles for 2025, and it was one of my lowest scores. It was really disappointing. So I was between 60, I think it was 60 and 64 for accuracy. But there was a lot of stuff that I predicted that's going to be behind that velvet curtain of the royal family. So we may find out some things later on. So real quick, before we get too far in, I want to applaud all the mods that are here. Thank you so much, guys, for being here. And for those of you that are just in the chat, thank you for supporting my channel. We are having a pretty cool fun 2026 so far. So there's some different things going on. And I see we've got some discussion about the reading room that I did last night. We'll have another reading room tomorrow. And Friday, we are going to have our members only live where I answer questions for the membership, any personal questions. And then we go right into a general live where we'll answer questions for you all. They can be pop culture or personal questions. As always, I will have my Hipsy link available if you want to request one. And any of those lives, if you pre-order a personal question, you get 15% off if you order in advance. So you can always just mosey on over to the live, click on the Hipsy link, and you can order a reading in advance. It's pretty cool. Having a lot of fun with that app. It is treating me well. So all the business is out of the way. We are going to get going on King Charles. So we're going to use numerology. And the reason why I like the numerology for these 2026 predictions that I'm doing is because it kind of gives us the backbone and the milieu or the environment that King Charles is walking into. So much like astrology, I know a lot of you follow astrology. Astrology, your sign tells you what you're kind of made out of. Well, numerology is telling us what people are walking into that with. So we're going to use that as a backbone. We're going to use the tarot to give him advice, and we're going to look at how he is seen. Well, so we're going to look at his personal year. I want to make sure you guys understand that. We're going to break the numerology down into quarters and to months. So we're going to be here for a little bit. This may be a bit longer of a live. His biggest focus for 2026, how he is seen by key groups. We're going to look at the people of the United Kingdom. Looking at you, Deb. We're going to look at the leadership, the government leadership of the United Kingdom. And then we're going to look at William and Harry. We're going to look at the dichotomy of how his sons are looking at him. So finally, we'll do a little bit about numerology and what kind of numbers indicate that he may be making an exit. There's a lot of speculation about the king, his health, and what that means for the continuity of the monarchy. So I know a lot of people are speculating on it. I know there's been a lot of debate about, what month this exit is going to be. Just recently, William and Catherine, the Prince and Princess of Wales, have now shelved their trip to Australia, which was supposed to happen, I believe, in February. They've shelved it. I did a reading on it the other day, and it was that they're going to have to kind of step in because King Charles is going to be having some treatments over that time, and they're going to have to be the respite team for him, if you will. So anyone that's had anyone in their life that has had cancer, you understand that there are peaks and valleys the whole time you're going through treatment. So let's jump into the numerology, just giving you a little primer on this. So King Charles' personal year for 2026, his birth date is November 14th, 1948. We reduce that down. We get a number 7. Add the universal year for all of us. We're in a year 1, 2026 reduces down to a 1. This gives King Charles a personal year of 7. Of 8, 7 plus 1. Sorry, not doing math today. Personal year 8, power, authority, legacy, I think is the key word here. Physical limitations versus responsibility. And this is where I think we see the rescheduling of that trip to Australia. Also focuses money, institution, sovereignty. Interesting word here. He also needs to understand what remains under his control and what must be delegated. The best managers, the best leaders will always delegate that authority. They don't try and do all of the things themselves. So a year 8 is about command and consequence, not comfort. It asks, how do I wield power wisely while my energy is finite? A very, very interesting line there. So, I'm doing something a little bit different. We're going to do the quarters as well. Now, you've seen me do numerology for the whole year. You've seen me go month by month, but we're going to do the quarters as well. I think that it's really important. So Q1, January through March, foundation and reality. We are getting a numerology number 8. And I'm going to pull up the card view too, because we're doing everything here, kids. Let's get that up here. And we will switch-a-rooney. So those of you on the vert, I'm going to do my best to keep the cards in the screen, but this is going to be a big reading. So if you want to come on over to the portrait view, be my guest. Be my guest. Hi, History Buff. It's good to see you. I just apologize for everyone on the vertical. So History Buff, I am going to be doing more of these premieres into a live, and I do think we may work with the time a little bit. I don't know if this is the best time. I think maybe later in the day it is, especially because our Australian friends are still sleeping. So numerology 8 for Q1 2026, King Charles. We are looking at from January to March, numerology is 8. And that is activating. So there are some things that he's putting into place. What is his primary pressure point? The 10 of Wands. The king has had enough. His energy resources in this first quarter of the year are going to be really he's at his wit's end, quite frankly. What must be stabilized? King of Coins, his legacy. The King of Coins is the legacy maker. This is the guy who goes down in the history books. This is what they write. Are they going to say King Charles is a weak king? Are they going to say that King Charles was a troubled king? Are they going to say that King Charles had the Sophie's choice of monarchs? I think he is really trying to lock down his legacy as a thought leader. His environmental efforts are so grand and so well placed and so heartfelt that I really do think that he's going to come through as that. The Diana situation, and I'm not being critical of her, the Diana situation really damaged his legacy. It really, all of the PR that she went through, all of the interviews, the Bashir interview, everything really did ding his legacy. And I think the biggest statement of all was when she said that she didn't think that Charles would be a good king. And I can't remember what interview she said that in. It may have been the Bashir, but she was like, no, he shouldn't be king. And then in the next breath said that she should be the queen of people's hearts. I'd rather be the queen of people's hearts. Yeah, she's easy to imitate. Let me know what you think in the comments. So in Q1, the effort, all of his effort is going to be put into, or should be, this is really an advice card, should be put into stabilizing his legacy. Let's look at the second quarter of the year. We are going into numerology 8 still, public expression, where the pressure is going to increase. And just so you know, hi, Becky. This is April through June. So where the pressure increases, 4 of Cups. Oof. And what support is available? The Hierophant. My goodness. So 4 of Cups. When we look at that 4 of Cups, what it tells us, I always say it's a New Jersey phrase. Don't talk about it, be about it. This is about thinking about it. We're really, really still kind of hemming and hawing what is going on, hemming and hawing what's happening, hemming and hawing about should I go or should I stay or should I go now? Oh, Joe Strummer. Here, what support is available? Guys, this is Parliament. This is Parliament. If the king sat down and talked to Parliament, I think Parliament would say, we've got to address this sooner than later. We can't let this wayward prince continue down the merry way that he is going. And I think that now, I'm not bashing Diana. Calm down. So Victory, it's nice to have you here. Keep listening. We're talking about Charles today. It's hardly bashing. So when we go into Q3, July through September, assessment and judgment, we're still in the numerology tone of testing and endurance 8. What is no longer sustainable? We're in the summer now, guys. 5 of Cups in reverse. And the 10 of Cups where delegation is required. Oof. What is no longer sustainable? The 5 of Cups is disappointment. Disappointment. And this is profound disappointment. You know, you can only be so sad about a person and their behavior for so long. And if there is no reasoning with that person, you have to at some point say, we're good. We have to at some point say that. And that 10 of Cups, when we get 10 of Cups, it is happy family. It is good legacy. It is everything is moving and cooperating together. And here, I think this is, he has to let the problem that is Harry. And this is the biggest problem of the year, guys. I'm sorry. I know that he is trying to firmly cement, Charles, his legacy in the history books. However, this is really problematic. You can't have your son, and I think part of the problem is that he doesn't know what Harry's going to say after he's gone. And I think that the methods of protection right now are really to counter anything that Harry is going to say once King Charles has passed. I think that is really what the effort is. So I think by the third quarter of the year, if the king is still with us, I'm going to clarify that. I think that this is where we are going to see some definitive movement, definitive decisions. And thank you. We've got a lot of people watching today. So welcome to the chat. Please hit the like button. He is not the king. Jenny, I agree with you. I think he's in a soft regency already, but we're looking into 2026. So we're not looking at the current situation. We can do that. I'll take questions at the end. So thank you, History Buff, for clarifying that. Thanks, Jen. Hi, Jenny. Hi, nice to see you. It's nice to be live, guys. Yeah, History Buff. I think that Diana was an extraordinary person. I certainly rank her a little bit higher than Charles. Like Charles, I just feel like he's not as warm and fuzzy. And I don't know how. I do think he's going to have a very short chapter in the history books. I don't think that they're going to give him. There's not going to be very much to hear about him other than the poor marriage that he was in. Unfortunately. And I don't think that the world has warmed to Camilla as much as they should. But it is what it is. It is what I owned Rottweiler, so I felt very bad that they likened Camilla to Rottweiler, because I like Rottweilers. I think they're very handsome. All right. So going into the end of Q4, legacy and outcome, numerology 8, resolving things. How does the year close for King Charles? Margie, I marked your question. 6 of Swords, safety exit. What carries into 2027? The Wheel of Fortune. So I do think that his courtiers and the comms teams that are in place and that will serve William and Catherine when they ascend to the throne, I do think that those comms teams are working well over time and into the next reign to correct the course of his legacy, to make sure that he looks as good as he can. I think part of what King Charles's problem is that he doesn't interact with the media or to the extent to correct his image. He's got one foot in the Queen Elizabeth kind of mode of monarchy, and he's got one foot in this modern, very fast-paced social media world that we're in, where media has changed so much. Authenticity and, minute by minute, kind of reality TV, he really is not willing to break from tradition, break from the way that Queen Elizabeth conducted herself during her reign. So I think that we're going to keep doing that. So Cindy, Jenny, there's a lot of conversation about King Charles possibly being a Muslim, converting to Islam. So there's been a lot of talk about that. So I think that's a fair question there. So if you want to ask a question, yeah, there were some videos out there. I don't know if that's exactly what we were seeing. Though I think he was getting in there, rolling up his sleeves. But let's jump into month by month, guys. So again, I want to thank everybody for being here. And I want to remind everybody my grading on my 2025 predictions for King Charles was between 60 and 64%. Not my best grade. It's a C+. But let me know what you think. Is C+ good for psychic readings? I don't know. I really, I'm stoked. My Britney Spears and J-Lo, I came in at 87% for J-Lo and 89% for Britney Spears. So I really knocked it out of the park. We're going to keep doing these. So buckle up, Buttercup. So over the next couple of weeks, we will have more of these. For the remainder of the month, we're going to do more of these. The whole month is going to be grading and predictions. So, all right, January. Let's talk about his personal month in January. So he's in an 8-year. January is a 1 month. What do we get? We get a 9. So 9 months, January. Meaning, closure, reckoning, endings. What is ending for King Charles? The Wheel of Fortune. That's unfortunate. The Tower. I think we're going to see some setbacks, guys. And perhaps this is what we are seeing as a result of that, or maybe the evidence of this is that we're seeing that trip to Australia be canceled for the Prince and Princess of Wales. They need to be boots on the ground. This Tower card, remember, Tower card is cataclysmic change. That is change that comes from without, and it affects us. So cataclysmic change here, 8 of coins. The change is going to be in the work and the leadership. Remember what I say about 8s. When we look at the numerology of the minor arcana, you know, ace, we get the idea. 2, we partner up. 3, we're now gathering some resources to do it. 4, we start to execute. 5, we are in chaos and shifting the energy to make sure that we're doing the right things. 6, we take a breath and relax. 7, we go into more chaos, but it's more organized chaos. 8, we are steaming toward a finish line. Steaming toward a finish line. There's a lot of momentum and velocity when we get into the 8s. 9 is completion. 10, we move over to the next thing. I've got another psychic in the chat here. Hi, Tarot S. Love your name. Love, love, love your name. Very, very cool. So it looks like some interesting things will be happening. I think there's a transfer of power that is going on now. If we are not already in a soft regency, I think we are now headed into a soft regency. The work is being done. February, personal month, it's an 8 plus a 2, second month, 2. And so that reduces down to 10, which is going to be 1. February, new approach. So what is King Charles' new approach? The Magician in reverse. He is releasing his control. The Tower, he's doing it of his own volition. Tower in reverse for me, when I get that, is things that we do to ourselves to create cataclysmic change. What is the result of this? 4 of Cups. Remember, don't talk about it, be about it. We're not dreaming about it. We're going to go and do things. Ace of Coins. This is the start of a new legacy. New legacy. So I'm calling it Dave Murphy. Dave Murphy, when you see this on the replay, here we're in February. Ace of Coins, Ace of Coins, Queen of Swords. Guys, I think we are going into regency, soft regency, whether it's public or not, in February for King Charles. Definitely something is up here, kids. Something is up. So heading into March. So we're talking about March. March is a 3-month. So 8 plus 3 is 11, reducing down to a 2. Let's go. 2. Ace of Wands. Look at this. So there is partnership here. Partnership, but I'm sorry, Ace of Wands. We are handing off that baton in March. Strength in reverse. We're all out of time here. We can't, oof. You know, death comes to all: paupers, kings, celebrities, rock stars. The Hierophant, the power is waning here in March. March, the power is waning. It is changing hands. This Ace of Wands tells us that it is changing hands. So March looks very, very interesting. So April, 4 plus 8, we go into a 3. April, 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 April. 3, most important thing, speed and communications. King of Coins, 8 of Cups. It's going to be a tricky transition. I'm going to say that there's going to be a lot of people. So I think there's going to be a lot of, and I just have to write down that this is April, guys, because ADHD, man, it's a real thing. So April 4. Okay. So there's going to be a lot of speculation and gossip about his passing. That is something that I think I think there's going to be a lot of discussion about whether or not he was really sick, whether or not he passed on the day that he passed on. I think there's going to be a lot of discussion about this. There's going to be a lot of conspiracy theories that come along in April. They're going to have a lot of things to say. Perhaps they're going to come after William and Catherine again. Let's go into May. It's a 5-month. We have 13, condenses down to 13, and that turns into a 4. Those are new foundations. They are new foundations. So, most important thing, key theme, the star, the future. We are now talking about a bigger, brighter future for May. This, I do think, is going to be the future of what is the era of William going to be called? The Williamson. There's Elizabethan. Like, what is it going to be? Williamson? I don't know how they would call that era. But here we are, the Hierophant in reverse. And the Fool. I think there's going to be some interesting things when we get to May. I think there's going to be very, very interesting things. Because we are in a 4-month. Because we are in a 4-month. Is that is correct, right? 8 plus 5, 13, 4. Yes. Because we're in a 4-month, that is foundations. And the foundations are going to be very different. A lot of people have said that William is going to upend the monarchy. Let me know what you think. If you think William is going to upend the monarchy. If the king is still with us, we're going to start to see the groundwork laid. Again, this is for May of 2026. We're going to see the William Misson error. Thank you, Margie. Thank you. So for those of you on the vertical, there we go. That's what it will be called. I had language aphasia from my head injury, so I just kind of chalk it up to Williamian. Oh, that's hard to say. That is hard to say. So I think we are going to see the new vision for the monarchy. Let's go to month 6. We're going into a 5-month. This is going to be June. King of Swords. Four of Swords. 7 of Swords. The Moon. Ooh, guys. It is hard to say, Becky. I'm just going to go blah, la, 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 la. Blah, la, 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 la. So, for June, who is that 7 of Swords? Who is that 7 of Swords in reverse? Because we've got the King of Swords. This is cementing that legacy. This is telling the story. And 4 of Swords, we're not resting back on our laurels and waiting for everyone to say, oh, isn't he terrific? Isn't he terrific? What they're going to do is they are going to really promote him as a good leader, or as a sound leader. I shouldn't say good, but sound leader. So 7 of Swords and the Moon here concealing the one who has been seen as naughty. Page of Wands, King of Pentacles. I know you guys don't like this, but I think they're going to try and really put a lid on the pressure cooker that is Harry and Meghan. I know there's discussion about Harry being brought back. Ham did a fantastic video of Harry dancing in the backyard. If you're not following Ham, it's a parody account. Makes all these very, very funny videos. But I think he is really going to try and resurrect the historical Harry that had his image and his PR very, very strictly and tightly handled. So I think they're going to try and resurrect that and just kind of forget about all of the bad stuff that he said and all of the bad stuff that he did. If he is not carefully tucked away. And remember, like we always have free will in here. So if the discussion about Harry, and don't worry, we're going to do his 2026 soon. If the discussion about Harry coming back to the United Kingdom is correct, if he is going to show back up on the White Cliffs of Dover and scoot back into the country, what is going to happen is they are really going to be trying to just bring back the historical Harry and allow that story to be told. Oh, by the way, he did get married to an American for a little while. He was married to an American for a little while. So I think in the month of June, that is going to be some corrective action for that. I think they are going to do that. So let's go into July. 7 plus 8. 7 plus 8 is 15, going into a 6 month for July. And I'm sorry, guys, I'm writing this down. 6 month. What are our main themes? 6 months. Remember, 6 months are stability. That 5 month, I want you to know, when we were talking about June just now, it's about throwing the couch cushions all over the place. It's about coming in and throwing the couch cushions all over the place. So when we go into July, main theme, 9 of coins, transparency. That is transparency. Star, 7 of coins. I think, and if you're a fan of King Charles, I'm sorry, I think this is going to be a legacy of a king with regrets. I think that is really what his legacy will shake out to be in the next year. A king of regrets, a king that could not marry the woman of his choosing, the king who was pushed into a marriage with someone who was not entirely suitable, the king who was unable to raise up both of his sons because of the pressures within the marriage and the lack of cooperation in the marriage. I'm not blaming him. I'm not blaming her. The king who had a wife, a second wife, who was vilified. Had he only married her first, none of this would have ever happened. Had Woody gone straight to the police, this would have never have happened. And a king who was unable to stop the freight train of his second son's bad decisions. I think this is, and I know this is not the legacy that King Charles wants. I know this is not the legacy that his first son wants. It's certainly not the legacy that his youngest son wants. His youngest son wants him on bended knee, begging for forgiveness, begging for absolution. I do think that we will find out some other things about King Charles in the month of July that will unfortunately ding the intended legacy for him. I think that will happen. So moving on. August, 8 month. 8 plus 8 is 16. 6 plus 1, we're going into a 7 month. Now remember, 7s are a bit chaotic. They are a bit jumbled up, but there's more structure to it. So what are going to be the main things in August? Seven of Swords. There he is again, that troublemaker, and the Fool. Ace of Coins. Unfortunately, I think by the time we get to August, King Charles' legacy is going to be well dinged by certain elements. We're going to hear certain stories from certain quarters that are just not going to be great. And I think if Harry is not back in the United Kingdom, I think we see, I shouldn't even say that, whether he's back or not, I think he is going to attempt to set up a second court. I think he will attempt to do that. And if he attempts to do that in the United Kingdom, I think it is met very badly. I think, trying to have round table. So, years ago, if History Buff is still here, they will back me up. You could get in trouble for treason. You could get, your hand smacked or your head chopped off for treason just by having a meeting with others and discussing your displeasure with the leadership. You could get in trouble for that. That could be considered treason. And I think Harry will attempt to do that if he returns to England. Let's have a dinner party and we'll all just talk about how badly my dad bungled everything. Oh, it was just madness. It was just madness. All he had to do was blah. And I think if he stays in the United States, it's going to seem very namby-pamby. Hi, History Buff. You're still here. I think if he stays in the United States and tries to set up a separate court here in the United States, that the environment is just not suited for it. If he tries to do it in Canada, I think Canadians are just not interested in stepping up and being revolutionary. There's just no cause for a revolutionary action like that from the Canadian people. So I think he'll be hard pressed to get individuals that will come along and try to upend something, tried to upend something like the institution itself. We don't want to see that happening. Let's go into September. 9 + 8, 17. We go into an 8-month. Then remember, 8. Legacy, speeding toward the finish line. Remember, we have all this velocity moving forward. Oh my gosh. Help me out, guys. Did I just say that was August or September? This is August, right? 8 + 8. No. Help me out, kids. July, August, September. I said September. We're in September. 9 + 8, right? We are in September. Somebody's making goulash. We're all hungry. I didn't eat yet. So we are in an 8-month. 9 + 8. Yes. Okay. September. Sorry, guys. 8 of Coins. 8 of Coins, speeding toward the finish line. King of Swords. This is going to be defenders of the king. Ace of Coins, changing the narrative that's there. Hard at work at changing the narrative. So I think that we are going to see this on both sides. So I think we'll see both sons. We'll see William defending his father, defending the legacy of the country, of the monarchy, of the state of things. And we're going to see Harry trying to pull things down. Let's go into October. October 10-month. 10 + 0, or 1 + 0 + 8. We go to 18. We're in a 9-month. That is for October. 5 of Cups. 5 of Cups. Moon in reverse. 8 of Swords. The narratives by next October are going to be set in stone. much to the disappointment of both parties. I think William, the story that William tells about his father, we're going to get two different very stories about King Charles from his progeny. We are going to, and I think Harry's is going to get worse. I think Harry is going to say, my father didn't defend me. My father didn't get me the extra sausage. My father didn't do this, that, and the other thing. Mary, we are going to cover Harry and Meghan as well in a series just like this. So it'll be a premiere and then go right into a live where you guys can ask some questions. William, on the other hand, is really going to defend his father and the actions that his father took. And I think William's focus will be on the things that his father has done, not the things that he has been accused of doing. There's going to be something very different. There's going to be a lot more meat on the bone with what William is going to present. There'll be metrics, there'll be, events that he can point to, whereas Harry, it's going to be all of these like, oh, well, I felt really insulted. I did this, that, and the other thing. So that is our October. Let's look at November. 1 + 1 + 8. We now have 10. We go into a year 1. Is Raven outside?
Finished eating. What do you have?
So did I say October? 1 + 0 + 8. Wait a minute. 1 + 0 + 8 is a 9. I'm so sorry, guys. My husband distracts me, all his gloriousness. So October is 1 + 0 + 8 equals 9. Sorry about that. We're going into a 9-month for October, guys. 9 month. My notes failed here. I'm sorry about that. 9 month for October. Main theme. If we have William in the place of the king, because it does seem like 2026 kind of converts over to William, whether it is because the king is gone or if William is taking over the role of the monarch, again, regency, soft regency or regency. The 9, remember, 9s are completion. 9s are completion. This is separating from the troubles, not playing Mr. Nice Guy anymore. And over here, really taking things well in hand. 3 of coins, also having the backing of the government, parliament, the courtiers, the people. This is coming together. 3 of coins for the monarchy, whomever is in place. So going into November, 1 + 1 + 8. Now we are in a 1 month. What happens November? We're almost at the end of the year. November, 9 of Cups, fulfillment. Now that's the wish card, but this is fulfillment. By November, we are in fulfillment. The sun is rising, even in reverse. It's a good card. And the Lovers in reverse. Who is that lover? Now, those are partnerships. Lovers for me usually comes up as partnerships. Is this the grand change for the royal family? The grand change. A lot of conflict, a lot of anxiety. But then we get wish fulfillment again. So I think that we'll see more of that slimming down of the monarchy, maybe a reduction of responsibility for the monarchy here. That's what we're seeing. I have long said that William's going to run the royal family like a business. It is going to turn into, the Duchy of Cornwall will probably turn into like a business, and they're going to limit themselves to that, to doing some support with the proceeds out of the Duchy of Cornwall. I think that the royal family is going to absolutely be slimmed down, and it's absolutely going to become more efficient, much to the chagrin of some truly purist monarchist. I hate to say this, but I do think the sun has set on the royal court of Great Britain. I think the sun is setting on that. It's not really disappearing, but I think that it is certainly changing. We are not going, this is much like the great houses of Europe, the great royal houses of Europe. One by one, they have kind of dwindled down. Notwithstanding that French royal family, and the Russian imperial royal family, though, the kind of pomp and circumstance and glamour and gilded life that we saw at the turn of the last century is long, long gone. We are not seeing that anymore. And I think that they are going to really distill all of that glamour into a core few of the royal family. I think that's what's coming. And that core royal family will be uplifted and cared and taken care of like the gilded birds that they are, but they will not be taking care of the cousins and have 55 footmen and all kinds of things. Agree, Greg, there are far worse ways for a royal dynasty to fall. And perhaps when we look at William's year ahead, we'll do a side-by-side with King Charles and see if William is taking things in the right direction, if he is going to preserve the monarchy. I may even do that as a standalone video. Let's jump into December. 1 + 2 + 8, we get 11, 2-year. December's a 2-year. That is partnership. What are we going to see for the monarchy? 3 of Swords. 3 of Swords. Now, 3 of Swords is death, disappointment, disaster, disease. It's all the D words.
Dungeons and Dragons?
Dungeons and Dragons, too. So that 3 of Swords in December, let's look. 7 of Wands, sustainability, the recklessness of moving into the future, the Knight of Coins. It will be, if that is William, if William is regent or soft regent, correcting the course of his father's legacy, I think that we do see some dissension in the ranks, some people that aren't enjoying the idea that we're not going to see the tiaras and state dinners. We're not going to see all of the pomp and circumstance that's going on. Oh, thank you, Pun Police. I appreciate it. Good to see you here. So, yes, history buff. I agree. If Harry does try and set up his own court, it could be regarded as treason. And I do think he tried to do that here. I think he was trying to do it here, but he was too busy pulling tubes and eating mushrooms. My own opinion. 85 people in the chat. Welcome, guys. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So, and stick around because I will take your questions about King Charles' year ahead. So, how King Charles is seen by different aspects. So different people of his reign. So let's look at this. The people of the United Kingdom. We are going to look as a general, we'll look over the whole year. How will the people of the United Kingdom see King Charles in 2026? Speeding toward the finish line. And you know what? I do think, even if he is a placeholder king, I do think that in general, people will be, I don't want to say glad to see the back of him. I don't want to say that because I don't feel like that's their attitude. It's not going to be glad to see the back of them, but very excited. It's hard not to be excited about William and Catherine. It's you see them, they're glamour, they're beautiful, they conduct themselves so nicely. I think they're younger. Nobody wants an old king. I'm sorry, nobody wants an old king. So I think that the transition to the new king and queen is going to be greeted with much fanfare. And I think that opinions will soften about Charles. I think the general opinion of King Charles and his reign will soften in that moment. I think people will be much kinder in that moment to his legacy. How will the government, how are leadership institutions going to view King Charles in 2026? So we're talking about prime minister, the parliament, not the parliament, hangman. They are going to see him as someone who did not, Haley, I got your question. I'm gonna answer your questions. If you guys want to drop questions about Charles and 2026 in the chat, you can go ahead and do it. Just write them all in bold so that I can see them really well. All right. I appreciate that. Thank you so much, guys. I will answer questions in real time, as many as I can. So we can stick around here until about noon my time. So we got about 40 minutes ahead. So the hangman in reverse, I think that the government is going to be more critical of him for not acting, for not doing the things that they don't want to do. It seems that no one wants to get their hands dirty. The royal family is not supposed to, they're supposed to be apolitical. They're not supposed to be really interjecting into world politics and all of that. They're supposed to just be an example of good stuff. And I think that the government in the United Kingdom is going to be very critical of him not doing I want to say their bidding. So is this more of the World Economic Forum that we're dealing with? Yes. The powers that be want him to use that platform to wave his magic wand and make things happen. That's what they want to see going on. And unfortunately, I think he is reluctant to do that. Three of Cups. He is now, as he is sunsetting, and I'm going to say that as his reign is sunsetting, he is very reluctant to do the bidding of others. I think his main focus is going to be to preserve his legacy and not have it sullied. I think that's going to be the main theme here. Main theme. So I think, Mary, I feel sorry for him too. But I think that if Charles III was an agent of the WEF and all of these one world government institutions and power players, I think he's going, you know what, I'm done. I can't do this. I got to make sure that I look good in the history books. You don't want it. So, little side story here. Edgar Allan Poe did not just write scary stories. He also wrote, I'm a big fan of Edgar Allan Poe. He also wrote beautiful poetry, beautiful, very heartfelt stories. When he was alive, he had actually willed his body of work to an individual named Griswold. Now, Griswold was another writer who Poe had reviewed honestly and gave him a very, very bad review of his work. So Griswold, when Poe died, took over recrafting the legacy of Edgar Allan Poe. And that's why we hear he did a lot of substances and he was kind of out of his mind. He was mad. And, he was with his cousin and blah, 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 blah. Griswold actually re-engineered the opinions of Edgar Allan Poe and used his unusual demise as a springboard for that. The power of where you hand off your legacy is really important. The people that you hand it off to, it's super, super important that you give it to someone who can manage the legacy in the manner that you want. So that I think he is going to be less impressed with changing the world and more so changing the way people see him. So I don't think he's going to be working with the governments quite as strictly. So how is William going to see his father in 2026? How is William and his father, how are they going to work together in 2026? The Star, they are working toward the legacy together. That's what's happening. Lovers in lockstep. They are going to be fine with this. And Six of Coins. William is living up to the promise that he is going to make sure that his father is seen. He's going to do everything in his control to make sure that his father is seen as a good king, possibly not a consequential king, but a good king. How is Harry going to see him? How is Harry going to see him? Ace of Wands, Ace of Wands, Ten of Swords, oh, Queen of Swords, Five of Cups. Harry is not getting what he wants out of this father. He is not getting what he wants out of this father. I do think that there's a spoiled, bratty kind of attitude. And I think that the king will really need to protect himself in this situation. He's really going to have to protect himself. Melanie, I saw your your comment there. I am going to review that in the Q&A section. So we're going to go into Q&A after this. So is this detachment? I absolutely think so. Ten of Swords, Queen of Swords. The concrete relationship is going to be established. So this Ace of Wands is Yafayad. I think it's a Yafayad kind of energy. So there it is. Let me go down on my notes here. So big question everybody wants to know, is King Charles going to see the back end of 2026? And I'm going to tell you this. I don't predict deaths. We can use numerology to predict a likelihood of demise. For those of you that want to know, I do know how I'm going to die. I have two ways that I'm going to die. I don't like either of them. They're the agreements that I made on the way into this lifetime. I'm just asking that it's not painful. Thank you very much. Just take me out. Like Thanos, snap your fingers and take me out. But I don't predict deaths of celebrities, anything like that. I did predict the death of the Pope, though. I got the Pope right. I was like, something's up with this Pope. We're gonna lose this guy. There's a couple of celebrities that have come to mind over the last few days. I'm a little bit worried that we're gonna lose them too. So, but I tend not to do that. So we're gonna look at the numerology that show exit windows, health strain, and transition markers. So I'm going to drop down these cards just for a minute. So I'm nice and big here. Give your eyes a little bit of a break. So numerology numbers that will signal trouble, exit, 9, closure. That's an easy one. That's transitioning to the next thing. Hi, Alexander. Good to see you. Greg, keep an eye on the chat. If there's any questions there, just let me know. And I will mark them.
I'm doing my own thing.
Sorry? What'd you say?
So I'm doing my own thing.
Oh, thanks.
I'm watching.
So 9s are closure, withdrawal, completion, moving on to another phase. 7, illness, isolation, introspection, kind of going into yourself. 4, physical body limitations and structure. 8, shadows. This is power, strain, overextension. Remember what I said about 8s. There's momentum and we're steaming toward the finish line. Numbers that often show transition but not death. 10s and 1s, new chapter begin. 11, spiritual handoff, symbolic role. 6, caretaking and focus. Since King Charles is in a personal year of 9, it's authority but under strain. And that's going to be his whole year, guys. So I think this back and forth with Harry is just going to, I think it's going to accelerate. Personal month 9 cycles are ones that we should watch out for. 7 months we should watch out for. So 7s, we're looking at, what did we say? Is that August? Yes, August is a 7-month. 9 is our October. We're looking at October. And remember that exit can mean abdication, reduced role, symbolic authority. That's what we're looking at, symbolic authority only. Numerology doesn't say how someone leaves the role, only when pressure is peaking to leave the role. So exit is not always the same as death. For us psychics and numerologists here, we can just see the conditions that are around it. So my best advice for King Charles to navigate 2026. Queen of Cups. Oh, let me pull up that card view again, kids. So we've got Queen of Cups here. Get a hold of your emotions. Stop setting up these safe foundations for the shady McShadester who causes problems. Allow the transition to happen. Allow the transition. That's the death card there. 5 of coins. 7 of wands. He can share in this power with William. He can share in the power with William, and it will look all the better for his legacy. He will not be seen as a weak king. He will be defined as a smart king who followed the actions of the energies and the actions of what is going on. Get into that energetic algorithm, King Charles. Please do that. Allow the transition to happen. There will be much rejoicing and you will see it. You will be seen as a grandfatherly overseer of the monarchy, the man who strengthened the monarchy by allowing a transition to happen before his reign was over. So I've got some questions on the table, but I do want to let you guys know that if you want your own 2026 numerology and tarot reading, you can get one. There's a link in the description of this video. There's also a pinned link with my Hipsy link. You can go on over there and you can order a recorded reading, or I will be live on Hipsy well into this evening. I'll take a couple of breaks, but well into this evening. I'm finding out that more people are active on Hipsy later in the evening here. So I will be extending my hours to like 10 o'clock at night, my time. So buckle up, buttercups. That opens up a lot of time for you Australians over there. Yes, I see it, Greg. So again, I want to thank Barney for becoming a member and Denise Burnside. Guys, memberships on my channel will give you early access to all of my videos. It also gives you once a week, we do a private membership reading room where I read for you for free. That's my gift for you guys supporting my channel with a monthly donation. And there's also a permanent discount on all readings for my membership. I drop that link at the beginning of the month. If you ever don't have it, you can always email me at fortunecookiestarot@gmail.com and I will gladly send over that discounted link. And that is through my Calendly scheduler. So you can jump in there. So I thank all of you for being here. Let's get to your questions. I've got Margie. And I'm going to just bring this up so we can see everything. Do I agree that the treatments were eased up because there's nothing that they can really do, not because he's getting better? So for those of you that are not in the know, King Charles, they did reduce the treatments that he was getting. And, oh, hang on. Let me get a hi, Solarians. Good to see you. So history buff, we'll take a look at your statement there. So do I agree that the treatments were eased up because there's nothing they can really do? King Charles. Why did they ease up the treatments? Temperance, because the ends does not justify the means. So I think that the effects of the medication, the effects of the treatment are there's no return on investment, no ROI on this. So 8 of Cups, yeah, there's no point in fighting up the hill. I don't want to say palliative care, but I do want to say cautious care. Cautious care. That's it. They're going to monitor him. They're not trying to beat it back, or I dare I say they're not even trying to hold the line anymore. I think they are going to keep things as reasonable as possible so that the king can conduct himself in a day-to-day fashion. I think that's what they're going to do here. That 7 of Wands says, we're just going to balance. We're just going to balance here. We're just going to hang on. But here, this 8 of Cups, the 8 of Cups is really about going into the battle when it's in the upright. We are going into the battle. And there's no point in doing that anymore. You know, we don't have to fight as hard as we can. What's done is done. The Hangman, any corrective things that they would have been done 40 years ago. That's really what this is. So, so Margie, I think that they did ease up the treatments because there's really not much they can do. Next question. Let's go. Thank you, Margie, for that question. So I think this is a valuable one to keep asking. We've asked it before. Is King Charles going to come to the United States in April? Is he going to make it to the United States in April? Page of Coins. That is very interesting, guys. So, you know, a Page of Wands is more intrepid. A Page of Swords is more interested in kind of getting his message across and like going over to places. And a Page of Cups is about getting people to like him. It's a very salesperson kind of energy. The Page of Coins is more about keeping things status quo. Are we keeping things status quo? The Sun, Queen of Cups, 10 of Swords. I'm going to say I don't know. I don't know. I can't really determine whether or not he is going to Becky, take care of John over there in the vert, please. Thank you so much. If you're here, sweetie pie, take care of John. Just block him. Just block him. I am no holds barred today. Becky, with the steel chair, go in there and get rid of John. Yeah, John, you're cute. You're cute. Have a great day. Jog on, sweetie pie. So, I can't say if he's going to come to the United States. I can't say it because this Page of Coins is the idea maker. The Page, the Page of Coins is still figuring out where he belongs, where he is more needed. And the Sun card is revelation. That is illumination. We are figuring out where we do need to go. And the Queen of Cups is trying to keep everybody happy, but it's 10 of Swords. I don't think that trip today, and you know, I'm gonna, this will be up for all for all to see. Today it's 11:39, January 7th, 2026 here in the tri-state area. So I think right now they're still trying to figure out where he belongs. So we'll keep looking at that. We'll keep looking at that. Melanie, I am the only card reader you watch. Wow. Yeah, you know, the whole voodoo thing, I know enough to be dangerous. But it scares me too. That is some powerful magic right there. So, you know, I think the voodoo practitioners really are tapped into something pretty wild. I have a friend who was involved in Santeria, and that's another one that I'm a little bit scared about. It's similar, yeah. But Greg and I have a friend who's a Wiccan, and I'm going to actually do an interview with that individual because I think it's important for us to kind of understand that, like, you know, some of these practices are not. I am not a Wiccan myself, but some of these practices are, you know, a little misunderstood. Let's put it that way. Alexander, you're down in New Orleans too. I wanted to go to Tulane so badly because they have an amazing English program and they have an amazing music program. If you don't know, I play the cello very, very badly, but I did study opera for 8 years, and I've studied music for a very, very long time. I've always been a singer. But I was desperate to go to Tulane, but my brother went there. My parents were like, absolutely not. Your brother had way too much fun down there. So I did not get to go to Tulane. One day, maybe I'll go back and get another degree when psychic wins the lottery. I'll go back. So, all right, let's go to next question. So this is a cool, history buff. Are you really? History buff. If you want to get interviewed, send me an email, fortunecookietarot@gmail.com. I would love to. I know enough to be dangerous. In fact, here, this is my daughter got me this for Christmas. The Llewellyn Witches Date Book, and I also got Spells for Living Well. So it's gonna be a spell casting here. Mustard. Welcome to the fray, Mustard. Good to see you, baby. Good to see you. All right. So now I'm going to split this question into two things. So is Charles going to have the same kind of funeral as Queen Elizabeth? Is it going to be quite as big? And remember, the coronation was dialed back. So what about the funeral services? 2 of Coins, he's going to have a very different funeral. I think it will be much more like Prince Philip's. I think we just hit 100, guys. We got 100 people here. For 30 years, High Priestess History Buff, absolutely send me an email. 100%. I would love to chit chat with you. So I think the funeral is going to be much more like Phillips. I think it is going to be much more low key. What about the next coronation? What about the next coronation for William and Catherine? Page of Coins. We're throwing out the baby with the bathwater. Guys, the next coronation is going to be very splashy. Buckle up, buttercups. And I think Greg and I are going to have to come over for that. So we'll have to rent out some bins next to the Fitness Hutch's house. I've always been teasing him about that. So absolutely, I think the next coronation is going to be a very, very long celebratory period. I think it's going to be amazing. So book your flights as soon as possible. So good questions there. Let me get to the next one. So history buff, here's your question. If Harry does try to set up his own court, wherever that may be, Canada, the United States, in the United Kingdom, what's going to happen? If he sets up his own court in the United States, what will happen? Ace of Wands, that will be shut down. If he tries to set up his own court in Canada, what will happen? Queen of Cups, no one is going to be happy about that. I do think Canadians are going to be very keen on keeping the monarch the monarch. What if he tries to do it in England? What if he is brought back and he tries to do it in England? The Knight of Wands, that will be met with shock and awe. I'm just going to say William will put a stop to that. So that is going to be exciting. Exciting. Let's see him try. Next question on the table. Is the United Kingdom, well, so Haley's question, do I think that the UK is disappointed about how Charles has handled Harry and Meghan? I do. Personally, my personal opinion, I do think that they're disappointed. Let's see what the current vibe is in the Mo. 8 of Coins. They want to see this velocity. Hi, Laura. They want to see the velocity. All of the data is there. All of the facts are there. He has behaved abhorrently. Spare was the worst thing ever. So I think that that is going to be met. 5 of Swords, 2 of Wands. He made his choice. He bought his ticket. Now you got to deal with the consequences of that. Justice card. And guys, if you want to know this, I'll drop the link for this Renaissance Tarot deck in the description of this video when we are done. I didn't know what deck I was going to be using, so I don't have a deck listed in there. So, yes, I think the UK is disappointed, and I think that they are going to be continued disappointed unless some dramatic efforts take place on the part of the king. So Melanie, at some point, he has sons, but the people in the church, he has to put first. They pay for him and expect results. Absolutely. Harry just takes and takes. Absolutely. And Charles has paid and covered his narcissistic son. Will Charles put the people and the church ahead of his wayward son in 2026? Will we see that? King of Swords. You know what the King of Swords does? Cuts things off. King of Swords. Show you my King of Swords. This was from El Salvador. It's a beautiful knife. We're cutting it off. It's a gorgeous knife, isn't it, guys? Look at that. Look at that beautiful knife. A gift from my husband. So, King of Swords is cutting it off. 6 of Coins. Look at this, guys. So I have long said that I think the king has Harry on an allowance, not his official allowance, not his fees that were paid for being just born, for being a prince of the realm. But I have said long time that King Charles has been supporting him privately out of his own pocket. And I think that stops in 2026. Knight of Coins. He's not allowing him to make any money. And finally, I'm saying it right now, prediction, guys, we are going to see him functioning as a monarch in respect to Harry, not as a father and not as a man. And I've said this before. King Charles has responsibilities as a man, as a father, and as a monarch. And this, he is finally going to realize there's going to be some turn of events that he says, I cannot function as a man or a father any longer for this person. I am going to stop behaving like this with him. I'm going to stop dickering about. So I think that that's pretty cool. That looks pretty good. I think the money is going away, guys.
You're going to spray him with an acid magnet or something?
Acid magnet?
I don't know. He's usually going to have some kind of a big magnet or some kind of acid he's going to drop on.
Oh.
Release the acid magnet. Keep saying monarch.
The monarch. So, Mary, will King Charles be known as the interim king before the Prince of Wales? So, throughout the rest of the numerology and tarot readings for 2026. It does look like there's going to be some free will and flex that goes on in there. I think the courtiers and William and Catherine are going to be working. Well, I didn't look at Catherine, but William specifically will be working with the king to cement his legacy. So will he be known as the interim king before the Prince of Wales? Is he going to be a placeholder king? 5 of Wands. There's going to be a lot. I don't know if we actually get him defined just yet. 3 of Swords. I don't think it's going to. Right now, the energy is saying that his legacy is not going to be fantastic. That may change. That may have to change as things progress. I think the courtiers, the people that are tasked with his PR are now more focused on what's going to be in the history books. And I do think that this is something that's correctable. Currently, I think it looks bad, but I think that they're going to work very hard to correct it. So hopefully they will be able to correct it. Right now, I do think he's a placeholder king. I do think that he is going to be a placeholder king. Sorry, guys, my cell phone is going off right now. All right. So it's okay if we, Solarian, you can ask all the questions you want, as complicated as you want. You're a longtime subscriber, longtime person in my chat. I'm very grateful for you. So, question, partly to do with King Charles III and also the Prince of Wales. Both have had speculation over their religion. King Charles III, possibly an Islamic convert, and the Prince of Wales, who has expressed a deep skepticism for organized faith. Will the head of the Church of England be dropped? This is a wild question. So what we're going to do is we are going to look at the head of the Church of England as an entity itself. (2026) head of the Church of England to be dropped. 5 of Wands. There's too much conflict about this right now. 9 of Coins. We will see this in motion, though. We're going to see this in motion. That head of the Church of England is possibly kind of a footnote to the monarchy. Underneath 10 of Coins, it is a permanent position. I don't know if this is really going to happen. 4 of Coins, by all means, protect that. 10 of Swords up top, and the Wheel of Fortune. I do think that this will not be as public as I think the good people of the United Kingdom would like it to be. I think this is more of, well, we don't really have to worry about that. It's just a role, one of the many roles that the king has to satisfy, and he can't spread himself too thin. So I think that they are going to shy away from the importance of the Church of England being the head of the Church of England. I think we're going to see that. So not necessarily that it's going to be dropped. I think, again, if we talk soft regency, if we talk soft efforts, this is a soft effort to reduce the impact of the Church of England, or reduce the impact of the head of the Church of England. So I may do a deeper dive on this, because that, I think that's a question that I didn't come up with. It's not one that was in my intellectual resources either. I just was not really thinking about that. So possibly a longer reading on that, kid. So keep an eye out for that. Great question, though, Solarian. Solarian, you are a very deep mind, a deep well of cool stuff. So we've got History Buff here, my new favorite chatter. I hope he's got the bottle to do that, but I feel that he's a control freak and wouldn't want to hand the reins over to William. Let's look at that. How does the king feel today about sharing the monarchy or sharing that role with his son? How does he feel about it? Four of Wands, I think he actually feels pretty good about it right now. Temperance, Five of Coins. So this gives me, and the Queen of Coins, this gives me, there's no better person to share power with than the person who will wield that power unilaterally in the next realm. I think that portion of it, Charles, and I think this is a smart move on his part, History Buff. I think he does not want to lend that power to any courtiers or any individuals that work within the monarchy and potentially the government in the United Kingdom. I think if it appears that he is not sharing power, it is because they're just kind of concealing that. I think leaning into Williams, again, what I said before, the best leaders, the best monarchs are going to delegate power. The best kings delegate power. The best queens, the best presidents, the best CEOs delegate power. I think he is delegating power to his son and successor rather than someone who may mop up that power that is close to the monarchy fire. Very interesting. This is a tutelage of William, not so much an absolving oneself of power and responsibility. He is tutoring William in real time to step up. And I do think that he is cognizant of the pitfalls that he had in his royal life, and he is trying to give over to William some skills and some abilities for that. That's not to say that they don't have courtiers that are advising them. I do think that there's one or two very, very well-versed individuals that they are working with here, but there are quiet conversations between father and son, king and heir, very quiet conversations. And I think he is very comfortable with handing off that power. I don't think that he's being a control freak in this. I think if anything, Charles is very self-aware of the limitations of his physical body right now. Very, very cool question. Very, very cool reading right there. Not what I expected at all. Let me know in the comments if you guys expected that. Really, really interesting. So let's go. I think I have some more questions here. Melanie, I do think that Harry and Meghan are dangerous to William and Catherine. I do hope they keep them far away. And you know what? We'll preserve that question for when we take a deep dive into them. Mustard. This is a question I've been toying with for some time. And every time I bring this up, everybody says, you can't sue the crown. You can't sue the crown. You can't sue the crown. But, Meghan Markle is one of those people who says, I'll just manifest it. I'll just manifest it. So will Harry try and sue the crown despite limitations that you cannot do that? Will Harry try and sue his father? Will he try and sue his father? High Priestess. There's ideas back there. Seven of Cups. There's plenty to go around. Ace of Wands. Knight of Swords. He is, and if he has an attorney that is talking to him about this, there is an attorney somewhere who found a precedent that a family of means was sued by one of their progeny for monies that were deserved because they were kind of ousted from the family, and it'll be like a whole black sheep thing. So I do think in the United States there is a precedent. And I think that he will attempt to set up a groundbreaking court case, an international court case. I am saying this with full faith. Will it work is a whole other story. But I think that he has an attorney in his ear that is telling him, you can absolutely sue your family for lots of money so that you can sustain your life here. You really are an itty bitty baby prince who cannot survive out in the wild without the support of them. And they have excommunicated you, exiled you. They haven't said it, but they have done so by their actions. So I do think that that's going to happen. Solarian, I don't think it's going to be a trial by public and social media. I don't think it's going to be that. I think he's actually going to try to sue the crown. This will create a whole kerfuffle legally. When it happens, we're going to talk about this again when it happens. So that I think he does have an attorney in his ear saying you can sue your family and you'll be wildly wealthy. You'll be settled. Welcome, Zeph. It's good to see you. Glad to see you. Laura, will JD Vance divorce his wife? I will address that in another live. We're sticking with King Charles predictions. We're only talking about the monarchy. I've got videos on JD Vance coming up. I don't like that he is the successor to Donald Trump. I'm still on the fence about JD Vance. I don't know. I don't know about JD Vance. I don't know. I don't love him. I don't love him. So, but we'll address that. Keep watching my video streams. We will watch it. And also, Danny, you're over on the Vert. I am not answering personal questions in this. That is a pretty big question, probably more suited for private reading. But I do in the month every month for 2026, I am going to do a psychic crime finder remote view. If you would like, send me an email about that case, and if you want to do that, we can do a remote view, and you would be included. I would add you as my guest, and we can do a remote view of that case and see what is going on. The remote views that I'm going to be doing once a month I'm guiding you through a remote view. I'm going to teach you guys how to do basic 101 remote viewing, just psychic remote viewing, not controlled remote viewing or anything like that. But we're going to be looking at different crime cases, and we're going to be looking at Brittany Murphy at the end of the month. So we're going to take a walk into the last days of Brittany Murphy, and possibly we will shift at the end of that. I've got to sketch it out and see how that guided meditation is going to go. But Danny, if you would like to do that, again, fortune cookies at fortunecookiestarot@gmail.com. Send me an email. We'll talk a little bit about it. Maybe I can get that on the schedule. And Samantha says, what is remote viewing, my darling? My darling. What is remote viewing? So remote viewing is like having a psychic telescope. And we go and we look at different crime scenes, different places. Basically, you can remote view, like I can remote view over to Mount Shasta right now. I can go.
I would do that.
Oh, stop it.
What's his name?
Isn't it McKinley?
No, what was his name? The big remote viewer that guy.
Pat Price.
Yeah.
Pat Price.
Because he looked into Mount Shasta.
It wasn't Mount Shasta. It was Mount McKinley.
No, Mount.
It was in Alaska.
No, not McKinley. Mount Hayes.
It wasn't that. So
No, it was not hate.
if you guys want to learn a little bit about remote viewing, there's a movie called Third Eye Spies, and it is about the original remote viewing program that we had in the United States and some of the interesting things that people saw and interesting things that happened. Pat Price was one of the greatest Solarian. I'm not even sure what that is. Pat Price was one of the greatest remote viewers ever. Joe McGonigal is remote viewer number one. He's also interviewed in that movie. But Pat Price actually passed away under strange circumstances. And he was part of the military program looking at Soviet sites and doing some psychic spy intelligence. And he passed away, was cremated, and his room was cleaned. His hotel room was cleaned before his wife was even notified. So nothing strange about that at all. We don't know if that was the U.S. government or another entity that possibly had some influence in the demise of Pat Price. So Third Eye Spies, great movie. It'll give you a real good idea of what goes on. The Men Who Stare at Goats is also a fictionalized movie about the program, the remote viewing program. So George Clooney, if you want to look at George Clooney. And I love Jeff Daniels in that when he goes, "Let the dance out." So let's go. So that is what remote viewing is. Let me come on over here. So good question. Will William and Harry ever reconcile? Will they ever reconcile? As of right now, again, we're talking about the energy that's in place right now. And we're going on 2 hours, guys. I'm going to have to cut this short because I don't want you exhausted. And I've got all these mods in here. I feel bad keeping them from other stuff. Will they reconcile as of right now? Nope. The devil has not come home. In my best Piper lawyer, the devil has come home. That's a line from the movie Carrie. No. How does William feel? 9 of Wands. Harry is still this Page of Swords. He's still trying to rebut what goes on. You know, he is the rebuttal king, or I should say the rebuttal page here, prince. And William is, you know, he's ready for battle. He doesn't have his back up against the wall. He's ready to step out. So, you know, does he want to continue the fight? No. Will he move forward and fight if Harry steps to the fore? Yes. This energy here tells me that Harry is much more likely to cause a kerfuffle, and William is much less likely to stand his ground and demonstrate back. Block and delete 101. Mustard, you got it right. So there we go. Not going to reunite. So Laura, this is a story that I am just not really keen on. Because if they could clone people, who's first in line, Greg? Bruno, Buster?
Well, they're not people. They're dogs.
Yeah, but if cloning was a thing, I am cloning Buster 100%.
You can't now. He's hatched. There's no more genetic material.
But there's still bone in there.
Nah, I don't think so.
Well, technology will. But get me a time machine.
A mosquito that bit him and is encased in amber now.
A mosquito that bit him. Yeah, I don't have any mosquitoes that bit my dog. So, one card. Is Kate Middleton cloned? I'll do one. The Moon in reverse. All is revealed. 4 of Cups. Don't dream about it. Be about it. Queen of Cups. I don't think she is. But that's okay, Melanie. I am gonna close this live down
Now,
anyway.
Wait.
What?
So, in the parlance of the word clone in the scientific aspect, meaning, copy, could this perhaps be a Paul McCartney type thing?
Paul McCartney?
Was she replaced with a little?
All right. So that's an interesting question. Gregopedia wants to know. Has Kate Middleton been replaced? This is a part 2 of the cloning question. I don't think that she's been cloned. Has she been replaced a la Paul McCartney? Another conspiracy theory.
Mm-hmm.
Has she been replaced? Wow. That's a yes card. That's a yes card. Yeah. Queen of Swords in reverse. Justice. 7 of Coins. Laura, I know. So, while not cloned, there's something interesting here, Samantha. Is it one of those things? 4 of Cups. Don't be about it. Don't dream about it. Be about it. Wow. I'm going to leave that there, guys. Laura. Yeah, weird, right? Thank you, Becky. Thank you, Becky. Wield your spanner, Becky. Wield your spanner well. I did not give it to you. Oh, so here's a cool question. And I'm going to wrap it up on this one. So let me just put that questions are closed, y'all. But don't worry, I do lots of lives. I will come back. I will come back. So yeah, we just block. Fila, I had hiccups then. So all right, Fila, hang on. I'm going to answer this question. So this is a question. So Nana Julian. Oh, Nana Julian, I haven't seen you in a while. So yes. When I am sick, I do find it is harder to control my psychic abilities. What I do think happens is that all of my energy is kind of going in that direction. But so Nana, I don't know if you've been around since the middle of last month. So one of my best friends passed away unexpectedly in some terrible circumstances, not a good thing. And as expected, her mother is very distraught. We're not doing the whole funeral process. And so I'm having some trouble processing it. I'm keeping tabs on her mom, and some of us are kind of huddling together. And thank you, Phil. I appreciate that. So one of the things that happened, and that's why I started doing more numerology in my videos. Thank you, everyone who's giving condolences. I really appreciate that. She was my maid of honor at my first wedding. Very, very good friend of mine. So, not a good scene at all. But what happened was, I actually unintentionally just shielded myself, and I was not feeling very psychic. So I started doing some numerology readings, not adding in just so I could have some content going out. I didn't want to, limp my way out of 2025, but, more so when I am emotionally distraught, my psychic abilities kind of take a back seat. And I think that's because I am protecting myself empathically. I'm trying not to be an open channel for things. Oddly, a number of my friends and colleagues have said she's going to come to you when you're ready. She's going to come to you. And I still feel that she's in a kind of a whirlwind, chaotic, energetic place right now, not right at the forefront. So, when I am emotionally upset, I do kind of close off. When I am sick, I kind of close off as well. I'm not getting those spontaneous precognitive kind of impressions that are coming through. So, I'm just not getting that. And I agree with Solarian in the chat here that it may explain how Paul Amadeus Denach traveled to the future and retold his story. So yes, I do think that happens. Edgar Casey, or Edgar Case, some people say Case, I'm not sure which is the correct pronunciation. His psychic abilities actually were kind of born of his own physical limitations, where he went into that sleep mode and relayed to his doctors what came through in that, and the treatment did correct him, and then he became a very, very good medical psychic, and was giving people advice on how to correct medical maladies. So some of us, I guess, if we get sick enough and we go into like the stasis, we can have stuff coming through in dreams. Me, when I get sick, I really shut down. Like this time last year, I had COVID, and I was horribly, horribly sick. Kept working through it, but horribly, horribly sick. But I would kind of work myself to exhaustion and then just kind of nosedive. So yes, I do find it harder to control. I kind of shut them down on purpose, so my energy can go in the right direction. So good question, though. Very good question. I have not done a remote view of this, but I think I need to. So, have I seen that Charles has converted to Islam? Has he converted to Islam? The Hermit. The Hermit is not so much about an action taker, but someone who is very considerate of something. I think that he has a healthy curiosity about Islam. I don't think that he is converted. I think he's heard the people, and I do think that his faith will be reaffirmed in the funeral. I think we will see those funeral rites, and in the time leading up to that, I think he is going to reaffirm his faith, and possibly preserve that head of the Church of England label that he has. So we'll see about that. We'll see what happens.
I mean, I think the nature of Islam would be that if he converted, then he would, being the monarch, would basically try to establish the caliphate in UK.
Possible. I think that's let's table that. We'll talk more about that.
That's like a heavy duty.
That's a heavy duty reading. That is not an easy one. Not an easy one. So, all right. 2026, is King Charles going to dissolve Parliament? Is he going to do that?
He has that power?
He does.
The regional governor.
Ace of Wands, boys and girls. Look at that. Ace of Cups. People of the UK, he is going to hear your call for this in 2026. King Charles is going to heed the call. Ace of Wands, Ace of Cups. Let's wipe the table clean. And the Ace of Swords. That's some powerful cards right there. I think he's going to do it, guys. When can we expect that? Near or far? King of Swords. The sword is in his hand. The sword is in his hand, and he wants to bring the government back to heel. I want to say back to heel. And and he is going to exercise the actions of another king. I don't know if there's another king or queen in my historical resources that I have that's tucked in my brain that has dissolved parliament. If you know something about that, let me know, because he's going to follow the actions of that last monarch that did it. So I am going to say, yes, I do think that King Charles is going to dissolve parliament. Clipping this, because this is going to be a video of its own, maybe a bigger discussion. So History Buff wants to know, how do you know if you have a block? So this is another psychic question. So how do I know if I have a block personally? I just won't have anything coming through. So one of the things I do, I have a construct that I go into when I do my meditations. I'm horrible at meditating because I'm ADHD. I'm on the autism spectrum. I am just a A-type personality maniac. So I always am kind of like moving forward. When I go into meditation, if anything comes into my mind that's not supposed to be there, I see like a giant broom that sweeps it out. And the construct will remain very similar to what Seven saw when she went into the isolation chamber, the water chamber. It's just kind of a black room.
7 is something else.
Or not 7, sorry, 11 in Stranger Things. So very similar to the construct that 11 in Stranger Things is seeing. So it's just kind of a black room with nothing in it. And I'll keep getting that. I'll find if I am flipping cards or throwing stones or whatever, they just don't mean anything to me. And so I'll go back and I'll do a reset. As a Cancer, I love that salty water. So I'll give myself a little salt scrub, take a shower, that kinds of thing. 7 of 9. It was the Borg. I love Deep Space Nine. I love it. Go ahead, Denise. I know I've been here for a while. I knew this was going to be a long live. Sorry about that. Yes. So, having a block, 7 was also in Blossom. And also it was the purported name of George's first child, George Costanza's first child.
Her name was 6 in Blossom.
Oh, it was 6. 7 was in the sequel.
7 was George's kid's name.
Yes. How about 7? So yeah, that's kind of how I know I have a block. I will do a meditation, kind of review all of my chakras, from stem to top, whatever you want to. And sometimes I'll see that those chakras are not spinning. So that is how I know I have a block. So, for other people, if people ask me, I can do like a quick scan of them. I can see if they have some blockages. Sometimes we protect ourselves from seeing certain things. Joe McGonigal was one of them. It put me at ease. I just read listened to a book about Joe McGonigal, again, remote viewer number 1 for our U.S. government here. And Joe McGonigal said that he can't remote view or be psychic about his own life. And I'm the same way. Like when I do readings for myself, I'm like, that can't be true. There's no way. That's not happening. And I second guess myself. And Joe McGonigal said it in the book that he realized that he put a block up on himself so that he wasn't like cheating through life, kind of thinking. So, I do think that some of us that are psychic kind of put those shields up so that we aren't, made aware of all the shifty people in our world. As you're walking through your day, so we have the databases here in the United States, SA people, the criminals, they have to register on a website. And I have never once gone into one of those websites, even when my kids were little, because I did not want to know who were the shifty people around me. I wanted to conduct myself with caution, around everybody. I didn't want to ever give anyone the benefit of the doubt with my kids that they were safe or a secure person. I wanted to always look at someone with a skeptical eye. Likewise, I've never kind of scanned. I did have one incident when my daughter was little that every psychic alarm bell went off. And I do think that this was almost a kidnapping. I was not yet pregnant with Angus, so she was certainly under 2. And she was a beautiful, beautiful baby by all accounts. Everyone thought she was gorgeous. And I had her in the trolley, the push, the carriage. So she was sitting up, certainly on her own. And we were at Target, one of our local stores and national stores. And a gentleman came over and started talking to her, and only to her. And I, had my hand on the carriage, obviously, and went back over and started talking to him. And he almost ignored me and kept talking to her. And it was almost like he was wooing her. And every alarm bell went off. And I was like, okay, that's enough of you now. And I literally ran out of that store. And I got in my car, and I was looking over my shoulder the whole time. And I drove around and around and around. We have a lot of law enforcement in our family. And so I was aware of, people will follow you home, those kinds of things. And I drove around for quite some time and went to a number of different towns and did not go back to my house until I was certain that no one was following me. So, yeah, I mean, it was a horrifying moment. It was an absolutely horrifying moment. And I've never forgotten it. I mean, just talking about it now, I'm getting the creeps. This guy was a creep, and I couldn't really tell you what he looked like now, but he was going to take my baby. He was going to take my baby. And I was not cautious with my baby prior to that, but I was kind of wrecked after that. And I do think I always shopped with someone in that store after, probably avoided it for some time. It was definitely creepy. So, and Laura, I would absolutely call it that. He was absolutely doing that because he was emphatically ignoring what I was saying. So definitely creepy. So there it is. That's all I have to say about that. Billy, the last live you watched, I had the hiccups. I'm growing in my knowledge. Good stuff. I don't know if hiccups have anything to do with my psychic ability, if it's manifesting. Your body always tells the story. That's what Lori Williams, the woman I studied remote viewing with. You can find her at www.intuitivespecialists.com. Take a free 3-day course. I get no kickback from her or anything like that. Free 3-day course in coordinate remote viewing. Anybody can do it. Anybody can be psychic. Lori Williams has always said that the psychic ability comes through the body. So you will get psychic effects in your body. The hair in the back of your neck goes up, hair in your arms go up. Maybe you get a little nauseous. Maybe every alarm bell goes off and you get flooded with adrenaline like I did in the situation with that guy who I think was going to kidnap my daughter. Maybe hiccups have something to do with it. I'm going to have to look it up. I'm going to have to see if hiccups are spontaneously stuff coming out. So Fila, I thank you for being the 15th like and new sub, but I do personal readings on Tuesday and Thursday afternoons, and also on Wednesday happy hour. So jump into one of those and I absolutely will tell you about Eric. But also, if you'd like, you can go on over to the Hipsy link. You can order a reading for yourself if you'd like as well. This is my full-time job. So please understand that, we do paid readings for the general population, and you can order those in advance through Hipsy for 15% off. You can find the link there. You can find the lives that I have coming up. And you can also get private readings with me. So, yes. Here's one of my people. PT, we are going to have a nice little chat tomorrow, aren't we? Zeph, thank you for dropping that link. I appreciate that. Like I said, you guys can order readings. I will be live on the app for the afternoon and the evening today. So if you want to come on over and get an instant reading, you can do it by chat, video, or phone call. And you can also order extensive readings with me. I will do a recording, give you a link, and you can go watch at your leisure. So there's also a Calendly link that YouTube bounced you from the chat. Zeph, you are a VIP. This video on Hipsy is fun. Yes, thank you. Penny has been over there. She was my beta test version, so we could figure out how well it worked. So there's also a Calendly link if you want to book in the old version of the you just book time with me and we sit for an hour and go bananas there. So all right, kids, well, that I think is enough of me for right now. That is enough of me. Let's drop down the card view. Let's make me nice and big. I hope everybody had fun today. I hope this was a good time. This is one of my longest lives, but I appreciate that 78 of you stuck it to the end. So thank you very, very much. Elaine, go lay down. I think I have to take a decongestant because this ear has been clogged for some time. Those of you that have been around for a while know I'm deaf in this ear. So when this ear is clogged up, I start to talk really loud. So I'll probably be on headphones for the rest of the day. So there you go, guys. Thank you so much. And we're going to be doing this again on Monday for Mixtape Monday. So we'll have production video. Then we'll follow up with questions from you guys. You know, the follow-up questions are free. I only charge for personal questions on YouTube, guys. So it's only personal questions that we're asking for Hipsy registration or super chats and super stickers. But super chats, super stickers, super thanks are always welcome. It does keep the channel alive and it does keep me in business. So I appreciate it. Guys, I will see you tomorrow for a live reading room. We will be live tomorrow. Let me just check the time. Let me make this nice and big, kids. Tomorrow live reading room is at 3:30 New York time. That is for paid readings for you guys. And I will be open on Hipsy on both ends of the day. So if you guys want to come in for instant readings in the morning, you can do that. I will be live on Hipsy for the rest of today. Friday is going to be super fun happy hour and Hipsy hours all day long. And don't forget, on Saturday, we're doing a guided past life regression. If you all would like to come to the guided past life regression, where we will do the regression and then we are going to chit chat after. Let me get it. Where is my link for that? Hang on one second, kids. There we go. You can register for this event right there. And it will be Saturday at 7:00. And that is a paid event. So as we get closer to the event, I will send out an email to everyone with the payment link. And you can take care of that. Again, this is my full-time job. So please help keep me in business. So 2026 is a banner year for me. Thank you so much for being here, guys. I will see you all tomorrow for the live reading room. I'll drop a production video for you in the morning too, so we have some fun with that. But thank you for being here. I know you have a lot of tarot channels that you can look at, a lot of YouTube channels you can look at, and I appreciate you guys coming over and seeing what I do here. Take care, and I will see you in the future.